This is just a quick little demo of the LibreOffice equation editor. So I'm going to fire up LibreOffice. I'll just do this using my desktop interface. So I'm going to start LibreOffice Writer. And then essentially what you want to do to access the equation editor is you go into Insert, and then Object, and then Formula. And this brings you into the editor. And at this point, basically, you can just work in the editor and type in an entire answer, for example, to the exam, because you're basically working in math with a little bit of text that you might want to add, and you can do this directly in the equation editor. So, for example, you can select from these options that are given at the side here, these different menus. If there's something that you want to include, you can choose from various different things that appear here. So, for example, if I wanted to, I couldn't maybe remember what the proper things are that I need to type in terms of markup for an integral. So I look through here, oh, there's an integral that kind of has the form that I want. I can just click on it and it will paste in the markup that's required with parts for you left to fill in where the question marks are. Alternatively, once you get used to using this, you don't even need to use the menus. You can just type in directly the markup that would get inserted, because a lot of it kind of follows a pattern that's fairly easy to remember. Like int just means integral, and then from the lower limit to the upper limit, and then what follows is just what the integrand is that you're actually integrating. You can also do things like, for example, so you can also instead just type in directly instead of basically kind of clicking and pasting from the set of prefabricated things that you can paste in. So I can say integral from 0 to 5 x dx or something like this. You can also, and if you want to start a new line, maybe I should mention, to start a new line you say new line, and then everything that you type after that point will be on a new line. If you want to enter text, like stuff that's not considered part of an equation, you can just put double quotes around it. So this is just ordinary text. And the reason why you might want to put quotes around things is there's some words that have special meanings, like from has a special meaning. It basically is telling a lower limit of an integral. If you type this without quotes on it, it will interpret it in this special mathematical meaning in terms of a formula. So to be safe, whenever you're typing text that you want interpreted as text, you should put it in quotes just so that it won't get confused and think that you actually mean the special meaning that some words have, like new line and int and from and to and so on in terms of a math formula. You can also do like Greek alphabet and other special symbols. Most of them follow the pattern that just start with a % sign, and then they follow by the name of the Greek letters. So tau is just % tau, theta is just % theta. What other Greek letters? Delta, I guess, and so on. What other things might you want to do? You can also do sums. So for example, if you're not really sure how to do this, you can go over to these menus and look for something that looks like a sum, like what you want. But after you start doing this for a while, you don't really need to use these menus to help guide you, because you start to get used to the pattern, and it follows the same pattern as integral, right? Instead of saying int, you say sum, and then it's like from the lower limit to the upper limit. So we could use that, or once we get more accustomed to doing things, we can just type it directly, which is probably faster, at least if you're a reasonably fast typist. And even I'm not a very good typist, but it's probably faster for me than going to the menus and so on. And also with integrals and sums, you can also do, like for the lower limit, you can specify something like this, like sum, maybe I should do it this way, like k equals 0 to, 15 or something like that. So you can also, instead of saying from and to, you can use like a subscript, an underscore, and then something in brace brackets denotes like a subscript. So this is appearing as a subscript for the summation operator. And then a caret symbol, like the kind of upward pointing symbol here, followed by something in brace brackets. This will be the upper, like a superscript, an exponent, which is kind of what you want. You want the fifth upper limit of the summation to appear up here. You can also do a similar thing with integrals. So if I go back up here, instead of writing out the integral this way, I could instead say like int for integral, and then lower limit is just indicated by a subscript, so like with an underscore, 0, and then the upper limit is with a caret symbol followed by in brace brackets whatever I want the upper limit to be. That saves maybe a little bit of typing potentially. And superscripts and subscripts work in a similar way. So if you have like an exponent, you want to say x squared, for example, you just use that caret symbol. If you want to do a subscript, you just use the underscore symbol. If you want, like, well, I guess this actually works the way you'd expect it. You can also put brace brackets around things to group as well, in case some things might require grouping. And what else might I want to show? I think that's mainly the basic sort of functionality that you might want to use in terms of writing exams and so on. And once you get everything the way you like, so what you type the markup down here, and then once you have things in the way that you like appearing up here, you can always see how the rendered equation looks by looking what's at the top of the screen. When you see something that you like in terms of submitting, it's very easy to generate a PDF. You can just go to the File menu, you say Export As, and export directly as PDF, for example, and then I can choose where I want to save the file. Maybe I'll save it on my desktop and just say Save. And then if I minimize this so we can see my desktop, now there's a PDF file here. If I open it, here's my, probably I should magnify this a little bit. So you can see the thing that I typed in, and then you can just upload this to like Course Spaces. So if I was writing an exam myself, I would probably use markup like this for any of the equations, or sorry, any of the questions where you don't need to draw figures and diagrams. For figures and diagrams, it might be faster to do things by hand and then scan it. But for just doing things that are plainly equations, which is probably quite a lot of questions on the exams, this is probably one of the fastest ways to do it. Anyway, so hopefully this is somewhat helpful.